Shalom, real quick, y'all. Want to bring something up real quick. Just want to be brief. All right, I want to talk about Pesach, Passover. I keep forgetting that people might not know, or people might not know that I know, or think that I know. Whatever the case, people might not know that I understand that even though the word Easter is in the English New Testament, it's really a misnomer. It's not really there, and like, can I prove it type stuff and all this type stuff because it's still that Christian debate I forget exists sometimes because I'm educated on a scholarly level when it comes to this, but other people might not be educated on a scholarly level. They might just be educated as far as just knowing what the scriptures say and being able to take you to a verse in a chapter or whatever the case, and then just showing it to you, but can't really break it down to you and then bring it out and link it together, whatever the case, put it together for you. So I want to go over this. So Acts chapter 12, is Ma'ashi Hashilachim is the proper term to call it. Ma'ashi Hashilachim. Sorry, Shilachim. Sorry, my guttural's not working right now, my throat. But whatever. Shilachim. But whatever the case is, Acts in English wrongfully. Um, and we want to go to chapter 12 and starting at verse 3, and it says, and because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Kepha also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. Let me start from the top. All right. So what are we talking about here? All right. So there's a little subtitle here talking about Peter arrest and deliverance. So Peter's or Kepha's arrest and deliverance, whatever the case. All right, so verse 1. Now, about that time, Herod the king, the Melech, stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church, or the assembly, the Hakal, the ecclesia in Greek, whatever, the assembly, the Kahal. And he killed Yaquab, the brother of Yehukanan, with the sword. All right, so Yehukanan would be Yehukanan ben Zachariah HaKohen. Some would say it was another Yehukanan, whatever the case. But that's people can debate that all day, because there were two Yehukanans, two men named Yehukanan. So we'll leave it open because we know that Yaquab was the brother of the Savior through Yusuf, but not through Miriam. And so it could have been said that Yaquab is the brother of Yehukanan, but could have been the uncle. I don't want to get too deep, but it could have been the uncle of Yehukanan, as Yehukanan could have been the son of the Savior. So I'll leave that out there to trivial talk, trivial stuff. I don't want to get too deep with certain things that I know, certain key, clever gems and jewels, the paths I can take you in, fantastic roads I can take you in when it comes to the New Testament or the Brit Chadasha, the Repaired Covenant. But I don't want to go there, Those was in my heavy Christian days where I used to go into those paths, but I just left them alone or whatever the case. But whatever the case, just sticking to the script itself, it says Yaquab, the brother of Yehukanan. All right. So, and he killed Yaquab, the brother of Yehukanan with the sword, verse 3, which is a heavy thing because, saying that was the high priest. Verse 3, and because he saw it pleased the Yahudim. So the term here is Jews, but there were no Caucasian people or Ashkenazim existing in this time. It was the siege of Jerusalem at this time. So Roman soldiers were there, but it was no such thing as Ashkenazi Jews there. There's no such thing as them existing. They came in Palestine in 1948, 1947. So if they came in 1948, 47, how were they there around the time of 70 AD? They were not there before. So this was not talking about the people we call Jews today. This is a misnomer, another misnomer, just like the whole, you know. So verse 3, and because he saw it pleased the Yahudim. All right, so let's go into that real quick, real quick before we get to the next. So we go to the interlinear. The interlinear, well, it's the Greek. Sorry, it's the Greek. I can't take you to the Hebrew in the blue letter. So all right, so what I'll do is I'll do this. I'll take you there when I go to the Hebrew New Testament. All right, so again, so it says it's sorry, verse 3. And because he saw it pleased the Yehudim, he proceeded further to take Kepha also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to quaternions. I'm sorry, English be messing me up. Delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. So we have two thought processes here. Two thought processes. So the people that are translating this, they are Greek scribes. They're scribes of another nationality, or they were able to get their hands on the information of another people, and they was transcribing it and scribing it with their understanding of the text. So they were inserting certain things, as you see in verse 3. There's parentheses at the end, says, then were the days of unleavened bread. Unleavened bread, it's matzah. The first day is Pesach or Pesach, and then after Pesach or Pesach, the next day it starts the unleavened bread, the count of the 7 days of unleavened bread. So it is the sunrise starts it. So the sunrise starts that first day of unleavened bread, but that sunset, or we'll say Friday night, as some would say, it's the nighttime when the sun sets for Passover. That's Passover, and then when the sun rises, it is unleavened bread, and you eat matzah or unleavened bread for the 7 days. All right, so sorry y'all if I sound confusing, because according to scriptures, the cycle of time starts when the sun set. So a new cycle or a new day, for lack of better terms, starts when the sun sets. So that starts the cycle. So sunset to sunset is a complete cycle, but sunrise to sunset is a complete day. So understand the two terms and the verbiages here, cycle and day. Anyway, so we see that the scribe he inserted here. Then were the days of unleavened bread, as if as if they weren't really part of the culture, because he also said earlier in verse 3, and because he saw it pleased the Jews. He's not speaking as if it's personal. So if Rab Shaul, or Apostle Paul as they call him, which is funny how they give him two names as if it's two different people trying to be the person. It's like part of it is Rab Shaul's understanding, and somebody else twisted his understanding and called themselves Apostle Paul and made him seem to be an apostle or something like that. So what is this double term here? You can't go from being a rabbi to an apostle, a new thing. Somebody made that up. He twisted that up. So that's something to understand here, because the writer here is not speaking as if he's Rab Shaul. He's speaking as if he's a different person, and as they call him, Apostle Paul. So 2,000 years has passed. So it could have been somebody brave and bold to call themselves an Apostle Paul and change text and write things differently. So if you were to say, this is what he said, like, I didn't say that. I never said it pleased the Jews. Like, I am a Yehudi. I am one of them. So why would I say it pleased the Jews? Like, I'm not one of them. Or why would I say, then were the days of unleavened bread, and then say Easter? Like, what is that? I wouldn't say matzah and then say Easter and wouldn't say the proper term. Like, I would have translated it correctly so the people can understand and translate it correctly. So is misunderstanding here. Somebody want to project a false belief system here, so they twisted this up a whole lot. So again, let's go in the end of verse 4, when it said, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. Now, what they only do is, when you go into any kind of lexicon or whatever the case and try to compare the New Testament with an original text, they never go to the original Hebrew. For example, if I took you to, I'm gonna go back. If I took you to Hebrews, the book of Hebrews, right? This book called Hebrews, but is not translated in Hebrew. So if this book was called Hebrews, written to the Hebrews, why is it in Greek? Why can't I get it in Hebrew? See what I'm saying? It's only in Greek. So the book of Hebrews should be in Hebrew. There should be because the people understood Hebrew, because that's where they was at, in the land of the Hebrews. So why were they not speaking Hebrew? Why is there no translation of Hebrew for the book of Hebrews? You know what I'm saying? We're just assuming that everybody spoke Greek or some crap like that, or everybody was a Greek person converted into. No, he was speaking to the people, the Hebrew Israelites, the Abadim Yasha'alim, the Hebrews. So this is another reason, the term Hebrew, the book Hebrew lets you know also the term Hebrew Israelite is not a cult because the book Hebrew is there. So let's go back to Acts, and then we'll all right, and then we're gonna go, but whatever the case. All right, so one second. All right. All right. So here we got the book of Acts here, the chapter 12, and the Abadi, the Hebrew, or whatever the case. Now we have Ma'ashi Hashalakim, chapter 12. And we can go to verse 3, and verse 3 will basically say similar to what the English was saying, but I want to pinpoint some key terms here. So a key term I want to pinpoint, which I can't really like highlight it like I want to. All right, so how can I make it highlighted some kind of way? How can I highlight it? All right, so I'll try to zoom in and try to see if I can do that. So this, when it's, you see this number 3, so verse 3 is here. So we're gonna take it down to the second line, right? Hadabar is that word right there. I'm gonna take it here. Ha Yahudim, the Yehudim. So Ba'ani Ha Yehudi. Ba'ani Ha Yehudi, the sons of Yehuda. Yahudi. One second. My eyes, give me a minute. So the second line. Ba'ani Ha Yehudim. So the term here is not Jews. It's the Yehudim, Ha Yehudim, the Yehudim. So it's never called Jews as when you see it in English, as to understand that the people are called Jews. They call themselves that to hide the fact that the term here is Yahudi, or Yahuda is the original term without a suffix. The im is given it plural to say the Jews, or the Yehudim, more than one, the nation of people themselves. The ha is to say the, definite article, the Yehudim. And Yehuda is the 4th son of Yaquab and Leah. And that is the royal tribe where kings and queens, Melech Dawad, King David as you call him, Melech Shalomo, the kings came out of Yehuda, which are the Ha-Yehudim. So if you realize and say, well, the term isn't Jews, it's Yehudim, then you would have to connect it back to the kings and realize that they are not the real people in the land. That's just one of the first things I want to point out. All right, and then you got here the next term is Hayosef or Yusef or whatever the case, and then it goes on and on about that. So that's the first time I want to bring out is Ha Yehudim, the Jews wrongfully called. All right, and then the next is in verse 4. Verse 4, I want to bring out, sorry. Still in verse 3, I want to bring out here. All right. Yomei Chag Hamatzot. So that is the feast of unleavened bread, or matzah or matzot is unleavened bread or whatever the case, which is Chag. This is the feast Hamatzot of unleavened bread, which is after Pesach when the sun rises. That starts unleavened bread, and that's the feast. So this is during the feast of unleavened bread, Pesach. Pesach is over. Now we in the 7-day process of unleavened bread. All right. So when you continue on going into verse 4, the Hebrew is right to left. So you start from here and then you bring it this way. Verse 4. And then you go on, then you go down to the next line, and then you go on. And I want to bring it down to where they call it Easter. I'm not going to go through all that because I do have a hard time pronouncing Hebrew myself, along with my eye problem, because I haven't stayed up to date, up abreast with it with the Masoretic vowel pointers and stuff. So I sound stupid. So so this is Achare HaPesach. They call it Pesach, but we say Pasak. But it's the vowel pointing here say Pesach. See what I'm saying? So you got to read those dots too in my eyes, and also I'm pronouncing it funny and stupid. So I sound stupid. So Achare HaPesach. So the term here is not Easter, it's Ha-Pesach. That's not, if you translate that, it's not gonna, the first letter is pronounced hey, as to say the definite article the with the underline there. Okay. So then you have pay. That's the second letter pay with the three dots under it. And that is your, what I forgot what the Segal, I forgot what they call it. The different terms. I used to call them my own terms. But I, like if you don't use it, you lose it. But I made up my own terms for these vowel pointings here because I wanted it to be more understandable for the people. All right, so I just call this the short A sound, and then you got this was like the short E sound, and then the two dots is the long E sound, or that long. I had it down packed, but I forgot. So and then this is the short A sound too. All right, so it would just be Pesach. So ha, pa, sa, cha. Those are the letters. What the letters are pronounced if you're saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Ha, pa, sa, cha. Ha, Pesach. It wouldn't say ha Easter or ha Ashtar. It's not. It's no T in that. There's no T in there to say stir. There's no ER. There's no at the end of that. It's a at the end. Pesach, not Easter. It don't make no sense. Easter has nothing to do with Pesach. So it's just letting you know in the context or in the context that they were in the feast of Pesach and unleavened bread, and this is what was going on with Kepha at the time, what he was going through at the time during the feast. Why? Because they knew that the feast days were the rest days of the Yehudim, and those were the best times to run up on them and do damage to them, because the evil people of the world that serve Satan, the Jews, the homosexual race of men, basically always was against the Most High. They always was against the Most High. So them being against the Most High all the time, they knew to go to them in the days of their rest. Okay, this has nothing to do with the Ashkenazi Jews, the white Caucasian looking people that is pretending to be us, and now there's this undying hatred for them, and dare anybody call themselves the children of Israel, and people, not hate you for trying to, call yourself an Israelite or a Hebrew Israelite. It put a bad connotation. So people need to be educated so that people can stop putting that hatred on the real children of Israel for the fake people calling themselves the children of Israel. So they just stole our identity, and basically pretending to be us. And now they causing a genocide in Palestine and Gaza. And here it is. It's a bad look on just even somebody like me. But good thing, if you talk to some Muslims and some Muslims, or people in the Middle East, they'll understand that if you show them that you're brown and you're in America, they'll understand that, oh yeah, you're the real children of Israel. They'll understand, or whatever the case. But they still might harbor some type of distaste because you don't follow Islam. You choose to still follow the original way of Abraham, or rather that was given to us by Musa. And Musa was not white and Caucasian, so it has nothing to do with these people. And it's disrespectful to erase history and make it all about these Caucasian people when everybody know in the history that all of the people were brown, that were the children of Israel. The true children of Israel were brown. They were mistaken for Egyptians, Africans all the time. We can hide in Egypt. The Savior hid in Egypt, which was Africa. So we could hide amongst other brown people all the time. So it was not that we just stood out like a sore thumb, like, who are you? It wasn't, it's crazy. It wasn't that. And here's just wanted to bring that out. And this is the New Testament, or the Brit Hadasha, and the U version. This is U version, and they have the Brit Hadasha in here. Sometimes I use the Eastwood. I use the Eastwood too, but I'm on my other phone, so I'm using the U version. because you got to pay for the eSword. So I paid for the eSword for my iPhone, and for my Android phone, I used the U version, and so I can get the Hebrew. So I got two Hebrew versions of the Brit Hadasha here, or the new, as you call it, the New Covenant or the Repaired Testament. I got two versions here, and I got one version, another version on my eSword. So it's three versions, or is it two versions on my eSword and one this version? Yeah, I got this version and then two on my eSword. But my laptop is broke. Some kind of way it my power conked out, and I just bought it and I used it like 5 times, literally, and the power just stopped working in my laptop. And I had a lot of translations. I was scribing is what I was doing. So I would do this work, take the text like this. It would take me like 2 weeks to just get one verse down because I got to go through 3 different Hebrew texts of the New Testament to really get a compilation of what's being said in context. So that's how I had to do it. And also it helps because I understood already reading the New Testament over and over and over again in my Christian days. So I knew the context of the stories that was going on. So now I can just not do the hard work of want to know what the story is. I can just kind of like recap, like, oh yeah, that's right, recap, and then I can go through the Hebrew and then put it in context or put it in context or whatever the case. So I just wanted to bring that out. Some key things for you to understand. It is necessary for you to learn the original language, because if you don't, you'll call it Easter in Acts chapter 12, verse 4. You'll say it's Easter, but down here it says Pesach. All right, HaPesach. It's not Easter. And also Hamatzah or Hamatzot, which is unleavened bread. And Yahudim, which is does not mean Jews. Ha Yahudim, the Yehudim. Okay, that's a proper noun. Yehudim is a proper noun. You don't change proper nouns. You transliterate them with the proper phonetic so that it can make the right pronunciation. So that would be Ha Yahudim, and that's all that should say ever. You can't change that, because when you change that, you change the rights that belong to the Yehudim by giving it to the Jews, and so nobody feel like the land belongs to the Yehudim, they belong to the Jews. So if it's the Jews, who's the Yehudim? So if we call ourselves Yehudim instead of calling ourselves the real Jews, what would happen is it would bring back the rights, the inheritance, and the Most High would come on our behalf, because that's what he's used to hearing. Yehudim, not used to hearing Jews. What is a Jew? There's no J sound in the Hebrew language. So this, the first character here is a hey. Then the next one is look like a little line up there, and they got a dot next to it, like ping pong or something. And then they got 2 dots under it, a shavah. So you got the hey, and then the next one is a yod, and that yod never makes a J sound. So that yod is always going to be ya, ya, ya. It's never going to be a J sound in the Hebrew language. So you can't even say Jesus, just to make a point. But it's going to always be ya. So ha Yahudim. So knowing the language is important. And we learn many different languages out here, but learning the language, the original language of the scriptures, is very important. I think pastors should do when they teaching people, because then they'll say something like Easter or get in debates and scholarly debates and not do their research, or if they got to do their homework, they won't even think that this is part of the homework going into the Hebrew, not just going into the actual lexicon. You got to know the Hebrew a little bit too, to know what to identify. So my vocabulary is low, so I have issues with that, and I'm not really all the way given to the Masoretic vowel pointings, which kind of stumped my learning, because I just wasn't feeling right with the vowel pointings. I just wasn't feeling right. I felt like I was cursing myself when I would speak the way that they speak Hebrew when they would pronounce things. I felt like I was cursing myself sometimes. So I just wasn't liking it. So I just had to stop for a second and take a step back and look at the language and really analyze it. So I'm doing more dissecting the language than learning the language. So it stumped me learning the language. So it's not that I'm illiterate or I'm lacking the ability to learn it. It's like more work it has to be done to decipher it, dissect it, put it back in proper perspective, and then have to actually speak it. It's crazy, so take longer. All right, so with that said, I just wanted to leave y'all with that and throw it out there. I guess that was for Kourtney Kardashian. That's for Kourtney Kardashian or Courtney Barker. Now, Courtney Barker You know, she followed me on TikTok. So I'll leave this for her. I guess she was trying to get the information, like, because she posted a post on her feed that said Easter in the scriptures. It says Easter in the scriptures. Like, yeah, but that's not really what it say. And I guess that's what she was asking for. Somebody that know what it really says, you know. Um, and I was able to get it to her. So with that said, I'm gonna let it go, y'all. Shalom, shalom.